What's happening? I got another message. I want to touch base on the video I just made about the evil Friends of the Homeless shelter and the mysterious and random deaths that have been occurring at an alarming rate that doesn't get talked about, that doesn't make the news, that doesn't make the paper, it doesn't make anything. It's kept quiet and swept under the rug. Um, this evil homeless shelter in Springfield, Massachusetts, has been killing people covertly, silently, through all kinds of means and behavior. And it's covered up and written off as a drug overdose or an accident or any other BS excuse that they can come up with. I just spoke, I just made a video about my boy James Clemens, who was a victim of these people here at the Friends of the Homeless and how they've been operating the shelter. There's nothing but organized crime going on here, you know. And to add to my boy James Clemens' death, in addition to that, um, there was a Mexican gentleman, you know, when I was staying in the basement of the Friends of the Homeless shelter. You know, he moved in. He was there probably for about, say, about 2, 3 months. Maybe a little more, but it was short. You know, he was one of my bunk mates down in the basement, at the shelter, Friends of the Homeless in Springfield, Massachusetts. Um, Unfortunately, a few months into his stay, I had left the facility, for a little bit, and I came back, and I heard that someone told me that someone else passed away, you know, and come to find out that the individual that passed away was the Mexican guy that was my bunkmate again, just like that. A Mexican guy was sitting. There's tables outside of the facility, right in the middle. Right in the middle of the parking lot. There's tables, green tables that people sit down at. So he was sitting there. I guess he was drinking a beer. People there, they drink, they smoke, they hang out there. But he was drinking his beer, and because people talk. Streets talk. People know information. One of my people told me, someone dropped something in his beer. We're not gonna say who it is. We're not gonna say. We're not gonna dive into much, but someone dropped a foreign matter, substance, into his beer, and then he died. Very, very, very similar circumstance that has been going on at this evil shelter. People are dying. People have died. This continues over and over again. Another one of my roommates dead. But that's not it. It continues to go on. Now I, you know, moved up into an apartment. I had a you know, neighbor that lives right across from me. He was here for about 2 months, you know. He drunk his beers and things like that. But I noticed that he hung out with a certain individual, and that certain individual, you know, had a lot of people mysteriously die around them as well. Hmm. That individual was in and out of, you know, my neighbor's room. He was in and out of his room. He was one of the last people, if not the last person to be in that man's room. You know, that individual alleged that they were friends. They might have been dating because they were gay. You know, these were two men, two grown men. Well, this is the most recent one. I woke up one day and I'm walking through the hallway, throwing out my trash, cleaning up, and I smell a stench. It smells really bad. I'm thinking it's the trash. because the trash hasn't been taken out. You know, uh, this shelter is operated by slumlords, or it was. You know, they've been running the shelter like slumlords, so there hasn't been a lot of maintenance. There hasn't been a lot of things being taken care of or maintained properly. So I thought it was the trash. But after the trash was taken out, I still smelled the smell. And that's when I started to have a really bad feeling. Because I know my neighbor hasn't came out, haven't heard from him. Then I come to find out they went to check on him, and he's dead. Just like that. He was dead. That smell was him. He probably was in that room dead for about a week or two. Nobody knew, other than the people that were, in his room, hanging out with him, that he was involved with. I didn't hang out with him, but I knew something wasn't right. This has been going on over and over and over again at the shelter. All these deaths don't make the news. They're mysterious. They're quiet. It seems like there's always a cover up. Or there is, but, this needs to be talked about. And I'm the one that's going to say something. So I ain't scared of none of these motherfuckers. I ain't scared to die. I ain't scared of none of that. You're not going to get me. This shit that's been going on at the Friendships Homeless Shelter, it ends with me. It's going to end. These are the things that we need to speak about as people, as a community. There's a lot of things that's been going on in our communities. There's a lot of businesses, organizations that claim to help people. They claim to help people. That's all. They're not helping nobody. It's an act. It's a front. They're wearing a mask. This homeless shelter, I can't speak for any other ones, but, I know the state of this world. I know the state of this country. It's probably not much better, but I know that every shelter is not like this. But something still has to be done. The sad part about this shelter, homeless shelter, is located directly right next to the Springfield Police Department. It's directly right next to it. They don't do nothing. They don't know nothing. It doesn't make any sense. You mean to tell me that all this is going on at the shelter? You got a police department right next door, literally right next door. It literally is. They don't know nothing about nothing. I call bullshit. We're not stupid. If you have a police department right next to a shelter that's heavily involved with organized crime, drug trafficking, organ trafficking, all types of illegal activities, and you don't know nothing that's going on, you're involved. It's not everyone, but a large portion of the Springfield Police Department is involved. It has to be. How could you not know what's going on in your own neighborhood? You're literally right next door. How could you? I'm not blaming anyone. I just know that change needs to be had. It's going to start with me, whether motherfuckers like it or not. It's going to start with me. I'm going to be the one to speak up. I'm going to be the one to take action. I'm going to be the one to do something about it, because I don't lay down. I don't sit around and watch unrighteousness, injustice. I don't sit back and watch people be victimized. I don't sit back and watch people be killed. I don't sit back and watch. I'm not a watcher. I'm a doer. I want other people to be doers. I want other people to speak up. I want other people to motivate themselves into doing what's right, not only for themselves, for their environment, for the community, for the city, for the state, for your family, for your kids. It's not about us all the time. It's about other people. It's about people that's going to come after us, people that came before us. It's time to take action. Peace.